But former Governor David Paterson stepped aside for the better of the party. And he joins me now. And full disclosure, love him, grew up with him, have watched his entire career. And literally, I've known him since I was a foot and a half shorter. Gov, it's good to have you. Thank you for being here.
Chris, I really wanted to watch the Mets game tonight, but now I just can't believe how accurate and how strong your monologue was. And I just hope people will listen to it, because I think it's a crying shame. Not only, Chris, do these people call for Mayor Adams' resignation, but one of them called for my resignation in 2010 when I hadn't even been indicted. And I'm not going to tell you who it was, but his initials are John Lou. And he well, wound up in a whole lot of trouble and was being prosecuted when a staff member of his pled to all of the issues they were accusing him of. And it's the only reason he's still in public office now. And if he doesn't like what I said, he should send me his address and I'll come over there and we'll settle this like men. I do have a little visual problem. That'll make it a fair fight.
I do have to say something. I don't know how embarrassing this is to me. My father, may rest in peace, loved Governor Paterson. We're playing basketball once. Governor Paterson shows up, okay? Visually impaired, right? Comes on the court. My father's like, go check Paterson. I'm like, I'm not going to check Paterson. I don't even know. Guy catches the ball, hits a 15-foot jump shot. So I don't know what's going on with you, Gov, but I just know that wasn't a great moment for me in my own personal history. But let me ask you something. Give my audience insight into what is happening within your party politically in this moment with Adams, AOC coming out, Sharpton being a little bit, not wanting to take a position. This morning he said the right thing, but he didn't at first. What's going on here? Do you think it's about Adams exposing the migrant crisis and pointing the finger at Biden?
Well, Reverend Sharpton is a very good friend of mine, and I am happy that whatever he was doing yesterday, he didn't do today, because it would be very unfair to call for a tribunal of other Black leaders, as they did in 2010, and then come up with a policy on whether or not I should stay or leave office, when in fact they had no jurisdiction or no power to make me leave office. All it could do was embarrass me, which it is what it did at the time. So I'm very happy that time has helped the Reverend have more wisdom. But in terms of what's really going on, it's the LCD, is what they call in math, lowest common denominator. It is people who are greedy, who have no interest other than their own, who every time they see another person in deep trouble, they pour it on and pile on the problem rather than trying to address it. We've got, first of all, some of these people who called for his resignation don't work for the city council. They are not members of his staff. They, a couple of them are in Congress, and some of them are in the state government, the Assembly and the state Senate. They're not even near him. How would they know whether he could handle the job and continue to defend himself at the same time? When I chose not to run for re-election, I came to the conclusion that I could not handle the job and run for re-election and be raising money and doing all the other things I would have had to have done, but I did not resign. And it's a good thing, because I was cleared of all of the charges and was able to go on with my life. And it was a difficult situation, but I remember the people who love to dance on your grave. The Judases come out, and what are they really trying to do? Well, some of them are trying to run against him, which I think is outrageous. If I want to run against someone and they got in a lot of trouble, I keep my mouth shut until such time as I announce that I'm running or the person was vindicated or convicted. And I think it is an absolute shame. I think that the elected officials in New York should get together and hang their heads in shame for the way they've treated Mayor Adams. And by the way, I find the charges against him very disturbing. I don't know whether he did it or whether he didn't do it. Damian Williams was actually my lawyer at one time, Chris, during the time that I was being investigated. And I think he's a tremendous U.S. attorney. I just think that the viciousness that people have come after the mayor and everything that he's trying to do right now, I think it is nonpareil.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.